Number 3, what's number 3 say, please? Equals 1. And they want you to graph it. Okay. Message. Please enjoy this commercial from our sponsors. So, before we start anything, right, we have to figure out what we're looking at. So, you've got a parabola, which is where just one piece is squared, right? You can have circles, which is where it's an x squared plus a y squared. If you have fractions showing up, you either have an ellipse or you have a hyperbola. So what do you see up here? I have fractions, right? So that basically guarantees that it's going to be an ellipse or a hyperbola. So here I'm adding, so it's going to be an ellipse, okay? So you have your two forms from yesterday, right? In order to have an ellipse, though, what must the fraction be, or sorry, what must the equation be equal to? 1. Okay, so we have it equal to 1, right? So we have to find A. A is always the bigger number, right? So where's my A? Is it under X or under Y? Under X. So when you're looking at which formula to use, you're going to look for the one that says X squared over A squared plus Y squared over B squared. Everybody okay with that? Yes? No? All right. So we need to identify A squared and B squared because I remember need to find A, B, and I need to eventually get to my C. So which piece is my A squared? 16, and what's my B squared? 4. Everybody okay with that? Yeah? So what's my A? 4, and what's my B? 2. So when we're finding A, our formula, or sorry, C, our formula C squared equals A squared minus B squared. So if I plug this in, I get 16 minus 4, which means that I get 12. And what's the square root of 12? 8 point what? Oh, shoot. Yeah, I don't, 8. What the heck am I on? I'm sorry. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, 3.4641. Thank you. All right. So are there any questions on how I got A, B, C? Right? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3, right? Everybody good? All right. So now I have to find all of my important stuff. So I need to find my vertices. I always misspell that, man. Co-vertices. And my foci. Okay. So when A is under X, right? What's our formula for the vertices? Is it plus or minus A comma 0, or is it 0 plus or comma plus or minus A? So is it like number then 0, or is it 0 then number? Number then 0. So I use my A value, right? So I just plug it in. Plus or minus 4 comma 0. Everybody okay with that? Yes or no? So what's the formula for co-vertices? 0 plus or minus B, so I get 0 plus or minus 2. And then my foci formula will always match my vertice formula, right? So the vertices are number then 0, so my foci will be the same way. Plus or minus 3.4641, comma 0. Any questions on how I got ABC or how I found vertices, co-vertices, foci? Anything at all? Foci. It's the plural for focus. And again, who remembers from yesterday? For the foci, are the foci inside the ellipse or outside the ellipse? Inside, always, okay? So please make sure you're following that. So now we're going to graph, right? So the first thing that I need to do is place all of my points, and I want to make sure that I'm labeling my points so that I know what the heck I'm looking at, right? So where were my vertices? Plus or minus 4, 0, right? So I go to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, put a dot, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative, put a dot. Everybody okay with the vertices, yes or no? And again, I do want to take the time to label them so I know what's up, okay? Vertex there, vertex there. Again, when you label on the graph, you should be using the singular version. Okay, vertex, co-vertex, focus. When you list them out, because we have plus or minus, which means there's 2 of them, right? We use the plural, vertices, co-vertices, foci. Everybody good? Yeah? No? Maybe? What are the co-vertices? 2, 0, and negative 2, 0, right? Everybody good? And then where were the foci? 1, 2, 3.4 something, right? 3.46? 1, 2, 3.5, and then back down a little bit. And then we'll go through and label everything. So this is a co-vertex. Co-vertex. And this is a focus. And that's a focus. Okay, so again, why is labeling important? Remember, a vertex needs to be on the major axis, right? And what that means is that a vertex will be further away from 0 than a co-vertex, right? Because it's an ellipse, so it's not perfectly symmetrical, right? Or sorry, it's not perfectly round. It's further one way than the other way, right? That's what creates the oblong shape. So the vertices will always be that further distance. Is everybody okay with that? Yes, no, maybe? So please just make sure you're placing things properly. Some of you will do all the work right, and then you'll get your vertices and co-vertices confused, and your football will be pointing the wrong way. It'll be like a horizontal when it needs to be vertical. All right, so please just be careful. When I make my actual ellipse, which dots get connected? Which 4? The 4, so it's the... Okay, so it's the vertices and the co-vertices, right? So I go from co-vertex to vertex to co-vertex to vertex. That's really more bullet-shaped. And then to vertex. Everybody okay? Yes, no, maybe? And again, is that perfect? No. Do you think I expect you guys to make perfect ellipses? Yes. No. It's a sketch. What I expect is that this is all filled in properly. You found A, B, and C properly. You found your vertices, co-vertices, and foci properly. And you know the general idea of the graph. Okay? Everybody all right with that? Yes, no, maybe? All right. Whoever wrote it for, do you want me to do 4 or do you want me to do one of the other ones? Because 4 is very similar to 3. So it's your call. What do you guys want? Are you okay with 4? Huh? Okay. Is there one where the bigger number is under the y instead of the x? Because we haven't done a vertical ellipse yet. We've only done horizontal. Equals 1. Okay, so again, right, we see that it's equal to 1, which tells us it's an ellipse because we have fractions. And where is the bigger number? Under y, right? So this is going to be a vertical asymptote, or sorry, not asymptote, a vertical ellipse, but we're going to build it pretty much the same way. 5. Okay, so it starts off the exact same way, right? What's my a squared this time? 49. What is my b squared? Okay, so what's my a? 7, and what's my b? Okay. C squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. So I'm going to take the 49 minus the 9 and get 40. And then I need to square root that. So square root of 40 is 6.3245. Any questions on a squared, b squared, ABC? Anything at all? All right, so now, same thing, right? I need to find my vertices, co-vertices. There you go, co-vertices. Everybody okay with that? Yes, no, maybe? Yeah. All right, so now that I have the spelling figured out, it only took me 3 minutes. Where is my a? Under x or y? Under y, so use that formula set, right? So for the vertices, is that going to be number 0 or 0 number? 0 number. So it's 0 plus or minus my a. Everybody okay with that? Yes or no? Co-vertices, is that going to be 0 number or number 0? Number 0, and that number is my b. And then the foci, right? Which one does the foci always match? The vertices. So we get 0. Let me try that again. All right, so we get 0, comma, plus or minus 6.3245. Any major questions, yes or no? So up first are the vertices, right? So what are the coordinates to the vertices? 0 plus or minus 7. So that's going to be on the y-axis, right? So this time, the vertical axis is our major axis. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's one vertex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the other vertex. And again, I'll label them, but in a minute. Okay? What are the coordinates to the co-vertices? Okay, plus or minus 3, 0. So I get positive 3, 0, negative 3, 0. And then where were the foci? Okay, 6.324. So somewhere like that. And, whoops, I messed up on that one. And that. So again, label everything, right? Focus. Co-vertex. Co-vertex. Vertex. And vertex. So any questions on how to plot those 6 points? Okay, and then again, when we draw the ellipse, we'll pass through which points? The vertices and the no, it'll never pass through a focus. So it passes through the vertices and through the co-vertices, right? So that's the point, is that whenever I teach this, I always have kids try to put the ellipse through a focus. Okay? And remember, the focus can never be inside or on the ellipse. It's always inside the ellipse. Everybody okay with that? Yes or no? Alright, everybody okay with that? Yeah? No? Maybe? I don't know. What's 19 say? Okay, we have a vertex. I really wish you guys would stop talking unless you're going to contribute. I've been trying to be nice. Co-vertex is 0, negative 9. And then its origin, or sorry, its center is at the origin. Okay, and then where was the vertex again? 14, 0. So, first things first, right? It's being centered at 0, 0 is important because that just tells us that we can use the formulas that we have. That's the only reason why this is here. So it's going to be an x squared over something plus y squared over something equals a 1. What's really important here is where does the a go, right? So how we determine that is we know this is our a because it's out of the vertex, and this is our b because it's out of the co-vertex, but it's all about the order, right? So this is where we're working backwards. So look at your formulas, right? And which of our formulas has a vertex that is A0? Is that the top formula or the bottom formula? It's the top formula, right? And where is A in that set? So if you go all the way to the left of the equation, where is A? Under X or under Y? Under X. So that means that the value from the vertex has to go under the X squared. Is everybody okay with that? So the only thing that's difficult about this is placing A. Okay? So that means that B has to be under the Y squared. Whoops. B has to be under the Y squared. And what's my B? Negative 9 squared, right? So X squared equals, what's 14 squared? 196, 81. And that'll all be equal to 1. So this is your formula. So that's all you're doing. So again, the only tricky part is where does A go? Does it go under X or under Y? And that's it. Everybody all right? Yes, no, maybe? All right. And the last one, number 25. What does number 25 say? Is this one where you have to identify what it is? Oh, it's the same set as 19? Okay. And is it a vertex, a co-vertex again?
It's a vertex and a focus.
Okay. So we have a vertex. 0 and 9. We have a focus of negative 4 square roots of 2? Okay. And it's still centered at 0, 0? Okay, so same basic thing, right? They're saying that we have an ellipse with these qualities. We need to find the equation, right? So we're going to start off in the same point, x squared over something plus y squared over something equals a 1, right? Look at your vertex. Where does A go? Does A go under X or under Y? Under Y. So this becomes 9 squared. So that means that my B will go under X. But did they give me a co-vertex so I could find B easily? No, what did they give me though? They gave me the focus. So I'm going to be using the formula for focus in order to find my B. Everybody okay so far? Yes, no? All right. So what's my C value? What's the value of my focus? -4 square roots of 2 squared. Everybody all right? What's my A value? 9, right? Squared minus B squared. So I'm going to get rid of as many squares as I can, and then I'm just going to solve for B. So what's -4 square roots of 2 squared? So what's -4 squared? 16, right? What's the square root of 2 squared? Just 2, right? So what's 16 times 2? 32. Right? What's 9 squared? 81 minus B squared. Everybody all right? Okay, so now I have to get B, or solve for B. So I'm going to add B squared and move it over to the other side. So I get B squared plus 32 equals 81. How do I get B by itself now? Minus 32. What is 81 minus 32? 49. And how do you get B by itself? So what's the square root of 49? So B equals 7. And the only thing that we have to really check here is which number is going to be bigger, A or B. A has to be bigger, right? So when they give me a number out of a vertex, my B has to be smaller than this number, right? Is 7 smaller than 9? Yeah. So that means that there's a good chance that I'm all right. All right, so are there any questions on how to find the B out of the foci formula? All right, so you're just plugging into the C squared equals A squared minus B squared. Plug in what you know, solve for what you don't. Everybody good? All right, and then last step, actually square this out. So your formula will be x squared over 49 plus y squared over 81 equals 1, and that'll actually be the full equation for that ellipse. All right, so everybody good with 25? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. So for number 4, what's the equation that they give you? Equals 25. Okay. So when we're doing an ellipse, right, what must the ellipse be equal to? 1. So what do I have to do to get rid of the 1? I have to divide everything by 25, right? Everybody all right with that? Now, there's a shortcut here, but real quick, we'll do this the long way visually. What happens when you divide a fraction by a fraction? How do you divide a fraction by a fraction? Multiply by what? Of the denominator, right? What's the reciprocal of 25 over 1? 1 over 25, right? So what's 1 times x squared? X squared, and what's 4 times 25? 100. Okay, the shortcut on it is if you're taking a fraction and you divide it by just a number, you multiply the denominator with that number. Okay, so what you would do here is just keep y squared, and what's 1 times 25? 25, and that equals 1. And then it's just like everything else we've done. Okay? So you have to make sure that your equation is equal to 1 before you start, or else it's not necessarily an ellipse. Okay, sometimes when you get it equal to 1, you get something different, like a circle or something. Okay? Everybody all right? And if this is not equal to 1, then it cannot be an ellipse. It has to be another figure. Okay? Any questions? Yes or no? All right. So please get to work.